The Gospel according to Matthew chapter 27. Jesus brought before Pilate. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the Jewish authorities met to look for ways of putting Jesus to death. They had him bound and led him away to be handed over to Pilate the governor. The death of Judas. When Judas the traitor realized that Jesus had been condemned, he was filled with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." They answered, "What does it matter to us? That is your concern." So throwing the money into the temple, he went away and hanged himself. The priest picked up the money and said, "This money cannot be put into the temple treasury, for this is the price of blood." So they met together and decided to buy the potter's field with the money and make it a cemetery for foreigners. That is why that place has been called Field of Blood to this day. And what the prophet Jeremiah said was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price the sons of Israel set on him, and they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord revealed to me. Jesus before Pilate. Jesus meanwhile stood before the governor, who questioned him, "Are you the king of Jews?" Jesus answered, "You say so." The chief priests and the elders accused him, but he made no answer. Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear all the charges they bring against you?" But he did not reply to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly astonished. It was customary for the governor to release any one prisoner the people asked for on the occasion of the Passover. Now there was a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. When the people had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Whom do you want me to set free, Barabbas or Jesus called the Christ?" For he realized that Jesus had been handed over to him out of envy. As Pilate was sitting in court, his wife sent him this message, "Have nothing to do with that holy man. Last night I had a terrible dream about him." But the chief priests and the elders stirred the crowd to ask for the release of Barabbas and the death of Jesus. When the governor asked them again, "Which of the two do you want me to set free?" they answered, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "And what shall I do with Jesus called the Christ?" All answered, "Crucify him." Pilate asked, "What evil has he done?" But they shouted louder, "Crucify him." Pilate realized that he was getting nowhere and that instead there could be a right. He then asked for water and washed his hands before the people, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." And all the people answered, "Let his blood be upon us and upon our children." Then Pilate set Barabbas free, but had Jesus scourged and handed him over to be crucified. The way of the cross. The Roman soldiers took Jesus into the palace of the governor, and the whole troop gathered around him. They stripped him and dressed him in purple cloak. Then twisting a crown of thorns, they forced it onto his head and placed a reed in his right hand. They knelt before Jesus and mocked him, saying, "Long live the King of the Jews." They spat on him, took the reed from his hand, and struck him on the head with it. When they had finished mocking him, they pulled the purple cloak off and dressed him in his own clothes again and led him out to be crucified. On the way they met a man from Cyrene called Simon and forced him to carry the cross of Jesus. When they reached a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, they offered him wine mixed with gall. Jesus tasted it but would not drink it. There they crucified him and divided his clothes among themselves, casting lots to decide what each should take. Then they sat down to guard him. The statement of his offense was displayed above his head, and it read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." They also crucified 2 bandits with him, one on his right and one on his left. People passing by shook their heads and insulted him, saying, "Aha, so you will destroy the temple and build it up again in 3 days. Now save yourself and come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the elders, and the teachers of the law made fun of him. They said, "The man who saved the others cannot save himself. Is he not the King of Israel? Let him now come down from his cross, and we will believe in him. He trusted in God. Let God rescue him if he wants to. Did he not say, 'I am the Son of God'?" Even the bandits who were crucified with him insulted him. The death of Jesus. From the 6th hour, darkness fell over the whole land until the 9th hour. At about the ninth hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When they heard this, some of the bystanders said, He is calling for Elijah. And one of them ran, took a sponge and soaked it in vinegar and putting it on a reed, gave him to drink. Others said, Let us see whether Elijah comes to his rescue. Then Jesus cried out again in a loud voice and gave up his spirit. Suddenly the curtain of the temple sanctuary was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, rocks were split, tombs were opened, and several holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs, and after the resurrection of Jesus, they entered the holy city and appeared to many. The captain and the soldiers who guarded Jesus were greatly terrified when they saw the earthquake and all that had happened, and said, Truly, this man was the Son of God. There were also some women who watched from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee and saw to his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's son. The burial. It was now evening, and there arrived a wealthy man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was also a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus, and the governor ordered that the body be given to him. So Joseph took the body of Jesus, wrapped it in a clean linen sheet, and laid it in his own new tomb, which had been cut out of the rock. Then he rolled a huge stone across the entrance of the tomb and left. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary remained sitting there in front of the tomb. The guards at the tomb. On the following day, the day after the preparation for the Passover, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate and said to him, Sir, we remember that when that impostor was still alive, he said, I will rise after 3 days. Therefore, have his tomb secured until the third day, lest his disciples come and steal the body and say to the people, He was raised from the dead. This would be a worse lie than the first. Pilate answered them, You have a guard, go and take all the necessary precautions. So they went to the tomb and secured it, sealing the stone and placing it under guard.